going on? Oh my lord. Do you realize that I had another snow day today? I had 2 snow days back to back. I didn't think it was possible in this day and age. I also saw something online about how the last 4 blizzards have all ended in 6s, at least for New York. And I witnessed all of them: 1996, 2006, 2016, and now 2026. There's something about the year 6 and snow, 6 and snow that come together and precipitation flows. I don't know how that works. It works somehow, some way, some shape, some form. So I saw that the Dead Kennedys have made a statement about Punk in the Park. Punk in the Park is a festival, I guess. I'm not really too familiar with Punk in the Park. I just know it's a festival. You know, a lot of these festivals have a lot of different, they all have names. Festivals have names. I suppose you'd want that because if your festival was just called festival, it would be very confusing. However, the Dead Kennedys have made a statement particularly about the Punk in the Park festival. And I'm starting to see some of the brouhaha and the backlash online, and I want to weigh in on it. I decided I have something that I want to say as it relates to the Dead Kennedys. Something to note about the Dead Kennedys. I mean, it's not really for anybody who's familiar with punk rock or the Dead Kennedys, know that the Dead Kennedys are not really the Dead Kennedys. At least I would imagine by a lot of people's standards, you know, in the same way that people get really upset about the Misfits, you know, the Misfits being the 95 Misfits or just the Jerry only led Misfits, how that is controversial in the same way, in a similar way, because I don't know, I feel like at this point in time, like where we're at, like the Misfits from the 90s, it's its own thing. It's called the Misfits. It should be called something else, but it's called the Misfits. It is what it is. The Dead Kennedys, however, like, I don't know. They're like on a whole other weird thing. I mean, I think it's really strange, the idea of trying to do the Dead Kennedys without Jello Biafra, although it is also really strange, the idea of doing the Misfits without Glenn Danzig too. So whatever. The Dead Kennedys were around for a time. By 1986, they broke up, or they went their separate ways. They had some beefs, some arguments. And then around 2001, Klaus Flouride, East Bay Ray, and I think DH, the drummer, the most tenured drummer, they all reconvened as the Dead Kennedys, and they had a variety of lead singers to sort of fill in the gap. They have never released any new music, unlike the Misfits. They never wrote any new music. They have spent, you know, triple the time that the Dead Kennedys were around and existing. They've spent so much time, decades, touring, you know, on their back catalog that they had with Jello Biafra, and never putting out any new music, which has me scratching my head, because part of the dispute with these guys is that, and we covered this in pretty good depth previously, but basically the idea that that Jello claims that he is the principal songwriter, wrote most of the material, and the other guys in the band claim that it was a real group sharing process. And here's the interesting thing: when you kind of look at the trail, the creativity trail in the wake of the split between Jello and the rest of the Dead Kennedys. And, you know, Jello's put out a lot of records. He has, but, you know, there's nothing, you know, none of those songs, whatever Jello has done, nothing holds a flame, a candle to the work that he did in the Dead Kennedys. And you would think that if, you know, if Jello had as big of a part in the songwriting process that he claims, that he would have just continued on, and that there would have been, you know, there would have been more. And there was more, obviously. There's a lot of Jello material out there, but none of it holds a candle to the Dead Kennedys. So that's a testament to the fact that maybe that it was more of a collaboration than Jello Biafra wants to admit. Now, here's the flip side to that very same coin. Jello Biafra has put out a lot of records. He's put out a lot of songs. He's gone out and done his thing. These Dead Kennedys, the reformed Dead Kennedys, they haven't done anything. They haven't even attempted to record a single thing without Jello. What's the reason for that? And to me, that's a testament to what Jello is saying, right? Jello, that's a testament to the fact that clearly, Jello is a necessary element for any kind of music to be had in the Dead Kennedys. So it's kind of hard, I guess it really does lead towards Jello. All of that to say, Jello did this interview in 2001, and we did a whole show on it, and he talked about his frustration with the commercialization of Dead Kennedy's music, and that these guys were just in it to make a buck, and that it goes against all the principles of the Dead Kennedys. And that kind of ties into the statement that they made for Punk in the Park and what it means and what it really kind of signifies for me, as sort of looking at the whole situation. We've done this before. We did this with Anti-Flag and some other things. Looking at the statements that a band makes. We did it with Sublime with Rome, right? We look at the statement and we try and decipher whether it was a good statement, what's really being said, kind of like read between the lines sort of thing. And it's kind of interesting how, those guys were really in it to make a buck off the music, and they started once Jello was out of the picture. They, wanted to, license all the songs, and I guess they were able to. Now, what I've always pointed out as it relates to Jello is the hypocrisy in that. But let me touch on that more after we read the statement. Before I do that, though, I want to tell you about Riot Stickers, our sponsor. RiotStickers.com is the official sponsor of the Frumess channel. If you need stickers, you go to riotstickers.com/Frumess, and you can get stickers made up. If you think the Dead Kennedys sold out, you can get stickers that say the Dead Kennedys sold out. If you want to make stickers that say Chuck Biscuit lives, you can go and make stickers that say Chuck Biscuit lives. You go to riotstickers.com/Frumess. That's Frumess. You get 1,000 stickers for $79. Stickers are 3-inch by 3-inch vinyl stickers, which is really good because it braves the elements really nicely. Vinyl is very good, very hardy material for that. And there's a UV coating to protect them from the sun. There's free shipping and handling. Dealing with CEO Sharpie Riot himself is a dream. You just an easygoing, chill guy who's very passionate about music and creativity. So he's going to want to help you. So if you have a book, a film, a band, any kind of creative project, you're going to need stickers to promote it. And you go to riotstickers.com/Frumess because you're not going to find a better deal. $79, 1,000 stickers, free shipping and handling. I mean, that's just a no-brainer. So riotstickers.com.
Riot stickers, we are the bomb. Riot stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. We are the bomb. Riot stickers, we are the bomb. Riot stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. We are the bomb. We are the bomb. We are the bomb. We are the bomb.
And that is a promise. Okay. What was recently said? What happened with Punk in the Park? Here's the basic, here's the skinny here. Okay. And this is, let's just read the statement and then we'll take it from there. Okay. Here's the statement. I have the statement right here. This was made 4 hours ago from the Dead Kennedys Facebook page. It says, "We've become aware that the owner of Brouhaha Productions, the company behind Punk in the Park, made financial contributions in support of the Trump administration. Our first reaction was to cancel our upcoming appearances. However, we do not feel that it would be fair to our supporters who've already purchased tickets and made plans to attend these shows. Dead Kennedys have always stood firmly against authoritarianism, racism, and fascism. That has not changed. After these scheduled appearances, we will not be participating in future Punk in the Park events. I got to tell you, this this statement is this is ugly. This is so bad, especially for a band like the Dead Kennedys, or at least what the Dead Kennedys claim to represent. I think this is a real bad. This is bad optics. This is bad, really bad. Although, I don't know. It all depends on what your opinion of the Dead Kennedys were before they made a statement like this. Again, for the last 2 decades, Jello Biafra has accused them of just, already being sellouts and cashing in and yada, yada, yada. And, this whole notion of selling out and staying pure to ideological beliefs. And, again, I believe that all music and art should be political in some way, shape, or form, whether it's, politics, if it's social politics, like the politics of being a teenager. There's a lot of different kinds of politics, but your art should have a message behind it and be saying something. If your art happens to be like deeply political on its like surface, the way the Dead Kennedys is, it's not like the Dead Kennedys, maybe they're using metaphors, but they're speaking very, very upfront about who and what they are. And, hey, we're the Dead Kennedys and we stand for this. And, as he says, we're anti-authority. We stand against authoritarianism and racism and fascism and yada, yada, yada. And like putting all that on Front Street, that kind of, but then like, look at the Ramones, forget the fact that Johnny was a conservative for a little bit and just look at what were the politics of the Ramones. The politics of the Ramones were like social politics, the politics of romance, stuff like that. All of that is political in its own kind of way, quote unquote political. All of that, they're saying something. They're not saying nothing. That's the point, right? There's substance. But with the Dead Kennedys, they are a politically charged band, and I believe a lot of their followers are also politically charged, like deeply politically charged. And so that's important when considering statements that are being made like this. Now, to go back to 2001 with Jello Biafra talking about the lawsuits that he had with his former bandmates and being frustrated with the licensing of these songs for companies, corporate, he likes to throw around the word corporate a lot. And, two things are very apparent to me, especially when it comes to being artistic and trying to earn a living. Like, obviously, it's not just about, oh, shit, my guy, fucking Raimi coming in the fucking clutch right here. Jello Biafra has released a statement about his former bandmates. So we're going to look at that as well. Yes. Oh my God, I didn't even see that. That's how this was a very rushed show. And now, thanks to Raimi, shout out to Raimi for hooking that up right there. We'll take a look at that next. So here's my whole beef with like Jello Biafra and the Dead Kennedys and all this. Like, again, yeah, they stand for all these beliefs. These guys wanted to cash in. And I don't here's the thing. I don't have a problem. I think it's good. Like, you should be cashing in on your art. Like, you should be able to earn a living. Like, that's the point. And that a lot of, there are a lot of like old heads, punk heads, whatever, just punk people or, punk fans who are just like, fuck you, yeah, you shouldn't be selling out. You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing that. You got to stay pure. It's like, dude, people need to make money, man. Like, you need to make money to live. If you have a family and you need to provide for that family, you need to make money to provide for that family. Like, and therefore, like, the idea of like licensing your music to something that makes sense. Maybe you don't want to do it for Levi jeans. Maybe you don't want to do it for some bullshit, but licensing it to companies that maybe align with your ideological beliefs. Like, I feel like there's nothing wrong with that for Jello and for the band and their, apprehension, or at least their previous apprehension until the other guys changed their mind. Or like, hey, Chevy commercials and Levi jeans and whatnot. And getting paid well, and contradicting themselves, and Jello speaking up in this interview and going, these guys, sorry, I'm going to do my Jello impression. These guys are ridiculous the way that they are cashing in on Dead Kennedys. Like getting really, really upset and mad about that, but still still getting paid because Jello got paid too. There's no way he didn't not get paid. And here's my question, Jello complaining about how like people were losing their jobs, right? Like people were losing their jobs at like corporate factories or something in Austin, Texas. I'm paraphrasing what I remember from the previous show that we did discussing this interview. And it came to me in my mind, I'm like, okay, Jello, like, so you're getting paid for this or it's happening against your will. Why not lean into it? Why not take the money and actually, since money makes the world go round for better or worse, why not take the money and actually do something like powerful with it? Use that money to open up a soup kitchen, use that money, donate that money to charity, make a public statement about it, like do something inherently political in response instead of complaining about your former bandmates, right? Like that sort of thing. And the reason why I bring all that up, because again, I'm talking about Jello right now when I should be talking about the other dead Kennedys in the statement, because Jello hasn't been in the band in decades. So what does that really, how does that reflect? Because I feel like that is exactly at the core of what makes this statement so problematic. Are you following me? Do you follow what I'm saying particularly? They say, and mind you, I want to say this too. I think a lot of you know how I feel about Donald Trump. I really detest Donald Trump. And a lot of other bands have walked off Punk in the Park because of the associations with Trump. And I don't think either which way about it. Like that's not what I'm here to weigh in on particularly. It's whatever the business is of somebody doing something like that. Like that's their business. What I think is so hypocritical and shitty about this statement from the dead Kennedys is the dead Kennedys want to claim to be against authoritarianism and racism and fascism, three things that I think really represent Trump, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, that's what Trump represents. And he is an institution for those things, and those things are prevalent as a result of Trump and his administration and whatnot. The fact that there are so many other ways that they could have made a better statement and taken better action than what they actually did here. We've become aware that the owner of the Brouhaha Productions, the company behind Punk in the Park, made financial contributions in support of the Trump administration. Now, they could walk off like the rest of the bands, but instead they say, our first reaction was to cancel our upcoming appearances. However, we do not feel it would be fair to our supporters who have already purchased tickets and made plans to attend those shows. I think that maybe there's like the tiniest shred of truth to that. Like maybe they really do feel that way, but I feel like they are using that as a very, very transparent, thin shield to cover up the fact that they probably don't, I don't know, maybe they're in their contract, they could be sued if they were to walk off the show, or B, maybe they just don't really actually care that much. Maybe C, they don't want to lose the money or the guarantee. That's what I really think it is. Personally, I don't actually know. I'm just, this is all conjecture here. But like I think they just don't want to lose out on the guarantee, whatever it may be, and that they're making this bullshit statement because they're supposed to be against these things, and we have to look like we're against these things. And so this comes across to me as so utterly disingenuous. It's pathetic. To be honest, it's really kind of pathetic to call yourselves the dead Kennedys, to be the dead Kennedys that like, or supposedly the dead Kennedys and the legacy of the dead Kennedys that is so like legendary within punk rock and whatnot, and to make a statement like this. I'm sure that the dead Kennedys of the late 70s and early 80s would never ever do this. If Reagan, if it was Reagan and not Trump, certainly not. So the idea, and I mean, think about all the things that are in the press right now as it relates to Trump. I won't say all of that stuff here as it might affect the algorithm, but you get the gist. Right? The idea, this last statement, after these scheduled appearances, we will not be participating in future Punk in the Park events. That is such a fucking lame. What a lame. It's like we have to make a statement. We want to make a statement, but we're also not going to take any action. It's so fucking pathetic, dude. That is so fucking pathetic. If you're the Dead Kennedys and you stand for everything that the Dead Kennedys are supposed to stand for, you should walk off the show. They should walk off the show. That's what's crazy to me. You know, I mean, look, obviously you don't want to disappoint anybody who's already purchased tickets and made plans by attending these shows, but like, so why not play a free show? Walk off the show and go and fucking book another show and make it a free show and play that show instead. Take your fee, take your guarantee, or how about this? Take your guarantee and donate it. What are they doing with the money that they're getting paid for this show? Are they going to keep that money? Are they going to keep that money from a guy who in their mind is compromised because he made financial contributions in support of the Trump administration, right? Which, you know, dovetails into making contributions in support of like ICE and all that shit, right? That's fucking dirty money. Are you going to really pocket that dirty money on behalf of not wanting to disappoint your fans? Or why not walk off the show and play a free show? You know, in the same way, oh, Jello, he's so upset that he said, that's why these guys are all kind of full of shit, in my opinion. Jello, he's so upset that his bandmates have licensed their songs to Levi Jeans when Levi Jeans shuttered a factory and 6,400 workers were put out of work. Why not take the money from the licensing and make a big public statement by donating that money to those workers? Fight the enemy with the money that they're giving you. You know, take all of the money from the Punk in the Park show and donate it to lawyers for immigration lawyers to help immigrants who have been, or to help people who are even here legally who have been illegally abducted by ICE, which has happened a whole bunch. You know, and now they're fighting court cases and all sorts of bullshit because they were picked up because they got brown skin and they're perfectly fucking legal to be here. I mean, we've seen what's happened. We've literally seen US citizens be executed by ICE. Like, it's crazy. It's literally fucking crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like to me, it's like, do something righteous. If you're going to make a statement as righteous as this, then why not actually do something meaningful and righteous in the first place? You're going to play the show, donate all your fucking money to one of these organizations, make a big public statement of it. You're going to play the show. How about you walk off the show and like set up a stage on the same day at the same time as Punk in the Park and make it a free show and invite people to go to that show, to properly boycott what you feel is a problematic organization, Punk in the Park. This is literally like saying, we know that this is bad, but we don't want to disappoint anybody. So next time we're not going to do it. What a lame friggin' sentence. This last one. After these scheduled appearances, we will not be participating in future Punk in the Park events. Pat yourself on the back, Dead Kennedys. Just utterly pathetic. That to me is pathetic. It really, really is. The more I think about it, the more indignant I become about this. And again, this is from a band that's very clear. Look, I don't have any even to the extent like, I was never a big Dead Kennedys fan. Do I care that the Dead Kennedys are performing without Jello Biafra? Do I think it's right? No, I don't necessarily think it's right. Do I also like believe that can appreciate East Bay Ray and Klaus Flouride wanting to not work a straight job and to make enough money to like off of something creative that they built themselves to be able to do that, and they need a different lead singer in order to do that? I mean, yeah, I can appreciate that. Do they make the most money by using the Dead Kennedys name instead of saying of the Dead Kennedys, or tricking out? There's so many things they could do. They could slightly alter the name a little bit. Some Dead Kennedys. In fact, that would be way cooler and way more. I would have way more respect if the band called themselves Some Dead Kennedys, right? In the same way that I thought it would be really cool if Cheetah Chrome, who I had on the show, who really kind of like explained his situation to me, and I can appreciate it. But I thought it would be so cool if Cheetah Chrome just went out as Dead Boy. Just call himself Dead Boy. Why? Because it's accurate. Because there's nobody left in the band except for you. So call yourself Dead Boy. Why not do that? Some Dead Kennedys. Way cooler than just Dead Kennedys. Because everybody's going to compare you to the fucking Dead Kennedys with Jello Biafra. If you just call yourself Some Dead Kennedys, that completely like disarms the situation. Either which way, again, to be doing something creative and to make money from doing something that you built that's creative, I can appreciate that. I can appreciate completely and totally understand it. From a fan perspective, it's different because it's like, hey, this is something that's like pure, that's being diluted or polluted by your need to sort of capitalize on, you know, this thing that I hold to be completely sacred. But this particular thing right here, this is just fucking lame. And here's why I think it's so lame. So this is the statement that they made, right? But look at this. Their previous post on February 16th on President's Day. Look at this shit. Anti-President's Day sale, 25% off select items starting February 16th through the 23rd. So until yesterday, you could get 25% off the Dead Kennedys t-shirts. Stealing People's Mail shirt. You look at this. Stealing People's Mail. He's got they got Trump. They're putting Trump on their shirts saying we are the Dead Kennedys and we are anti-President's Day. Celebrate anti-President's Day with 25% off select shirts in the store till February 23rd. I mean, that is fucking lame, dude. That is lame. To go from saying that we're anti-President's Day and we're going to sell t-shirts in the name of anti-President's Day to then making this statement over here, that is fucking bullshit, dude. That is so, oh my God, that is so fucking lame. Lame. I can't, like, that was the moment I read the statement, and when I scrolled down and I saw that this was the very next post that they had made prior to making that statement about Punk in the Park, I was like, you guys are, they really are in pursuit of the almighty dollar. That's what they care about. There is, so for them to claim, there's nothing worse, and it's the same thing with Anti-Flag too, right? There's nothing worse than someone who espouses like political identity and beliefs and does not practice what they preach, does not walk the walk. And I feel like that's this right here. Even fucking Jello. And, you know, I was with Jello over the summer at a mummy show. I wasn't with him. I was standing next to him at a fucking mummy show in San Francisco at the Knockout. I turned my head and there's Jello, and I chatted with him for a few minutes. I don't like Jello. I don't. He's still a fucking icon. He still knows a lot of shit. I'm still not gonna not ask him questions if he's standing right fucking next to me. You know, I can play nice. But and not like he fucking, you know, he doesn't know who I'm just, he doesn't know that I don't like him. I'm just some fucking, you know, guy standing next to him. I did a whole video on that somewhere on this channel as well. But I mean, I could just imagine. Well, we don't have to imagine. We can see what Jello's statement. So here's Jello's statement. Jello made a statement. I gotta tell you, I really am annoyed by Jello. Annoys the shit out of me, dude, as well. He annoys the fucking shit out of me for a lot of reasons. Mainly because, you know, he has those what would Jello do things. And I just feel like, dude, you speak based on your politics of location and, you know, your ideological beliefs, but like, if you had actually traveled to other parts of the world and like understood it's so easy to like armchair explain world situation. And I suppose that's just his right to do so, but it's still kind of goofy. Let's see what he says for Punk News Org. Of course, Jello is going to release a statement. I would imagine he doesn't have any choice because people are going to ask him about it anyway. Of course, he's going to release a statement. It would be crazy if he didn't. A few hours ago, this was written by John Gentle, and this is from 39 minutes ago. A few hours ago, Dead Kennedys released a statement saying that they were playing Punk in the Park, but would not play it in the future due to the owner of the festival having donated money to the Trump campaign. As you know, Jello Biafra has not been in the Dead Kennedys since the mid-'80s. Moments ago, Jello released a statement about the issue. His statement reads, "They're taking the money and then pulling out. The real Dead Kennedys would never have let this happen in the first place. One more sordid reason I don't ever want to play with them again." I have to tell you, on this level, abso-fucking-lutely agree with Jello. If anything else develops, we will let you know. I mean, is that it? They don't show you where is his statement here? Moments ago, he released a statement. Maybe it's on his Facebook page. Let's see if we can find it. No. Maybe it's on this Facebook page. I'm not exactly sure. Let me see what I can find here real quick. I don't know where he put that. I mean, he is right, man. I think he's right in the situation. And it's real easy for Jello Biafra to sort of, kick your bandmates when they're down, although in this case, I don't really know that. Let's see. No, he didn't where did he make the statement? I don't know where he made that statement, but he made it somewhere. Either which way, he made the statement. His statement reads, "They're taking money and then they're pulling out." That is such bullshit, dude. That is so whack. Ramey says, just like Reagan Youth being all anti-capitalism and then whoever is in charge of their social media and products pushing nonstop merch every other post. Although I would imagine, I don't know who's in Reagan. Reagan Youth is done now because Paul Cripple died. He passed away some time ago. I don't know who's in charge. I think Reagan Youth is out of commission now. Ray and Klaus and Jello have turned into huge, douchey, cringy hypocrites. They have, man. They have. All they really had to do to really slam dunk the fuck out of this situation, to really just nail this home, would be we, the Dead Kennedys, refuse to play Punk in the Park because the owner has made contributions in support of the Trump administration. Instead, we are playing this venue and it's a free show, or, all money, all proceeds will go to these organizations. That would really be sort of, being consistent with their actual brand, that I think. What? Reagan Youth are still playing live? How is that possible? There's nobody who else is in the band? Who's in the band? No, it's impossible. Dave Insurgent is dead. Paul is dead. No. They ended in 2024. That they were done. They were done. In 2023, Paul began working on Volume 3, Life and Times Revisited, a concept album about the life of late frontman Dave Insurgent. He was joined by vocalist Madam St. Beatrice and drummer Mark Zapata. The album was completed in 2024 when Paul was in hospice in Calvary Hospital. It's very sad. I interviewed Paul a long time ago for my project. The Volume 3 was released posthumously on February 28th, 2025 via Cleopatra Records. How about that? But I think that was the end. Wow. They have a lot of members. Reagan Youth did. Look at that. That is a lot of freaking members, man. I think Al Pike is the only one who's still alive, right? Of the original band, right? He's the closest thing to an original member that they have left. That's so crazy. Look at that. I always like studying these, the band lineups and whatnot. Look at that one. Sorry, we are so off topic here. I wish there was more to Jello. Where did Jello release this? Maybe it was on whatchamacallit? They're taking the money and then pulling out. The real Dead Kennedys would have never let this happen in the first place. One more thwarted reason I don't ever want to play with them again. Fucking Jello. He is a character, man. Jello Biafra, fucking character. Here, Jello Biafra official. Let's see. Did he? No, he didn't put out a statement. I don't know where this statement comes from, but it's not here either. He's just a fucking smart. He always has something to say about some shit. Like, what the fuck does he know? He really pisses me. Jello Biafra pisses me off. He does. He does. But I think he is. I still think I'll tell you this. Yeah, of course it died with Paul. Paul's girlfriend is in charge of their stuff. Reagan, you stopped after Paul died. Okay. My friend works at Disney, has been trying to do a documentary on them for years. That I've gone with him to interview Paul back. So he did interview Paul. That's good that he has some tape of Paul talking for his movie. When's that movie coming out, of curiosity? Yeah, they're not playing. That would be crazy. That would be so insane if anybody was going around as Reagan Youth without at least Paul Cripple. I mean, even then, that was still ridiculous after Dave and Surgeon died, right? Because that band was really Paul and Dave and Al Pike. But what was I saying? Yeah, I don't know. I can't find the statement anywhere. Let's see what one last thing to do before we peel out of here, maybe. Let us see. Look at this. Look, they're so stoked. They're so proud. Sporting a vintage DK shirt. Anything to make a buck. I mean, it really is anything to make a buck. Let's see what people. No comments. You're kidding. No fucking comments. Oh, hold on a second. What about here? Can you not? You're kidding. These guys you can't leave a comment? Oh, wow. Dead Kennedys have limited who can comment on this post. That is some shit right there, dude. Seriously? You're not even going to allow people to comment on your friggin' thing? Okay, that is some chutzpah. That's chutzpah right there. I am legitimately taken aback by that. That is so goofy, man. That really that is some goofy ass shit. Really. Hold on. I'm going to Reddit real quick. Let me see something. See if we can find anything on Reddit. Here we go. Bull fucking shit. It's been well known in the community about Trump donation for a significant amount of time, so acting like they've just heard of it is hard to believe. Also, comments turned off. Cowards. There you go. There you fucking go. I mean, that is really some shit right there. Here, let me throw this up. We'll take a look at this and then we're gonna call it a day. Here you go. So you're assuming a band whose members are all 60 and 70 on Reddit, though. Someone says Dead Kennedys died when Jello left. Pussy ass response, just cancel and refund. Yeah, man. I mean, for real, they want that money. They want that. What other reason? If you're against that thing, like that's the thing. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and get on my fucking soapbox of like, like we know Trump is a piece of shit. We know he's evil. We know all that. Like, that doesn't need to be said. That's not the point of this. The point of it is that the Dead Kennedys stand for what they stand for. And yet here we are. Here we go. Oh no, I'm not going to play that because that's copyrighted music. He says, I don't care. Jello was right about East Bay Ray. Yeah, Dropkick Murphys are awesome. Jello would have full canceled. He would have. He would have. And that is the difference. I'll give that to Jello. Now, what Jello, again, Jello complaining all those years ago, I have my problems. I have my problems with them. What a dumb move. Only a cash grab. I mean, it really does. That is a cash grab to not cancel the date. It really does suck. That really does suck. This is a nuanced situation and requires a nuanced response. Therefore, get fucked, greedy pigs. Plans change. Here, this is I really do. I have such respect for the fucking Dropkick Murphys. I saw them recently for the first time with Bad Religion with my friend Rich. I fucking love the Dropkick Murphys, and I love that, they're very fucking outspoken and they really seem to stand by their principles. I have deep respect for them. This is what they said. Here you go. Dropkick Murphys announced they would no longer perform at Punk in the Park events due to the owner's support of Donald Trump. This is from 7 months ago, right? Can't say these guys don't back up their words with actions. Stoked for the Riot Fest set. I mean, this really is cool. Hey, folks, punk rock and Donald Trump just don't belong together. So upon finding out that Brouhaha Promotions donated to the Trump campaign, we will not be playing any more Punk in the Park shows. We kept our commitment to the Denver show because we didn't want to leave our supporters who, they did the same thing. Huh. But thank you for understanding the matter. So how is that any different, though? I guess it's not that different. Except that maybe I don't know. They played the show. We didn't leave our supporters who bought tickets holding the bag. That makes me even more excited to see them at Riot Fest. I mean, how is that any different than what Dead Kennedys have done? Brouhaha, a national chud. What? Also, the owner of Brouhaha just put out a statement on Instagram that basically amounts to, yeah, so I voted and donated to Donald Trump, but stop being mean to me. I assume that half of Dropkick Murphys fans lean Republican. Interesting. But they literally did the same thing that the Dead Kennedys did. Hold on a second. Punk rock and Donald Trump donated to the Trump campaign. We will not be playing any more Punk at the Park shows. We kept our commitment. So I guess the difference here, and it's a slight difference, but it's still to me a little wishy-washy, is that the Dead Kennedys are basically saying ahead of the whatchamacallit, hey, we're going to play this and we're going to play this for this reason. Whereas the Dropkick Murphys didn't say anything, played the show, and then have now said we will never play again for this reason. Is that any better than what the Dead Kennedys are doing? I don't know. I will say this, though. I have a hell of a lot more respect for the Dropkick Murphys and just their attitudes and the things that they do and all the groundwork that what's-his-face does. Ken, the lead singer, he does a lot of really good shit. In fact, all the things that Jello Biafra pretends to be is what Ken from Dropkick Murphys actually is. So with that, I will use that as a reason to not lump Dropkick Murphys into the same fucking bucket. I really, really, I don't know. I hold them to a completely different standard than the Dropkick Murphys. I mean, than the Dead Kennedys. But good for them. If they really, here's Dropkick Murphys making a similar announcement full 7 months ago. Dead Kennedys took the tour and the bag and then all of a sudden became aware. So I guess the point is that Dropkick Murphys sort of also put it onto people's radar, right? Like the Dead Kennedys knew because the Dropkick Murphys had done this 7 months prior. And then here they are waiting until the very last minute to release a half-ass statement, and they're going to play the show anyway. I don't know. Our Our first reaction was to cancel. Then you should have fucking canceled. Don't blame the fans for your bullshit. You either die a hero. Can't even say I'm surprised. Anyone else remember when they praised Mitt Romney? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Holy shit. Is that for real, dude? That can't be is that a real fucking, they actually fucking praised Mitt Romney? Holy fuck. Jello is naturally pissed. He's been posting about it regularly since it happened. And he just put up the best meme I've ever seen. Dead Kennedy's 1980. JFK got don't kill all landlords. Blah, blah, blah. I would get I want to give Mitt Romney a big kiss on the mouth. So I guess it was real. That's nuts, dude. That is nuts. Yeah, they should call themselves the dead Kennedys. I think that might be a better name. I would think someone in their crew would have filled them in, but who knows? I'm 49 and went to Punk in the Park, Denver. I honestly didn't know until I got there. I was pissed, but I still had a great time. We need the money, quote unquote. We need the money, then we stop. Promise. Devil's advocate, but for bands that aren't full DIY, i.e., they have managers who handle bookings, etc., it's possible or even probable that these bands were unaware of the Trump connection. I've known about it literally because I'm a part of this sub, but outside of these posts of the sub on the Reddit, I've seen nothing about Punk in the Park issues anywhere else ever. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that some bands are just fully unaware. Hey, we booked some gig called Punk in the Park with a bunch of other bands. Okay, cool. I mean, I could see how fucking Dropkick Murphys could be possible for Dropkick Murphys. But the difference here is what the Dropkick Murphys did was pretty fucking public, right? Like it was pretty well amplified. So the fact that the idea that the Dead Kennedys didn't fucking know, I feel like it's the job, right? It's the job for the Dead Kennedys to fucking know that shit. My only counter to your point here is that some or maybe even most of the managers, bookers in the punk scene, even for reasonably popular bands, often came up out of the same DIY scene themselves or an adjacent one and thus might be inclined to check on such things. An example, Steve from Belvedere runs a booking company. Unless we're talking about someone with a Green Day, Blink-182 or Dropkick-sized band, most other punk bands, I imagine, are working with someone much closer to ties to their own DIY roots rather than some faceless corporate agency. That said, given the relatively by political bribes, I mean contribution amount donated, still shitty, don't get me wrong. I mean, they probably looked it up. Somebody probably looked it up to see if he had given money or had heard, and that's how they found out, because contributions are public. I'd be inclined to give some folks closer to the scene a bit of a pass if they miss some sort of connection. Blah. I love that you're all are even willing to say fuck off to classic punk bands like Dead Kennedys. Punk is all blah blah blah. I gotta say, I am kind of surprised, a little bit miffed that Dropkick still played the show. I don't know. Maybe there's some detail that I'm not. Those guys. I was reading all about Ken. We were driving home from the Dropkick Murphy show and just reading about all the friggin' outreach and all of the fucking work that this guy Ken does, Ken Casey, who fronts the band. And this guy is the fucking man, dude. He really, really is. I really, truly want to believe that, like, if they had, I don't know. In any which case, I think what Dead Kennedys are doing is far more disingenuous than what Dropkick Murphys did. This group is greedy, just like people. Blah. This guy's pathetic. A new album, 25 years. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy to me, too. The idea of being the Dead Kennedys for 25 years, not putting out a single fucking record, just cashing in and ruining a good name and bitching about evil Jello. I think Jello is evil, though. A bit. The most bullshit part of this is that them expecting us to believe anyone bought a ticket to see them. Yeah. I don't know, man. The whole thing is just so fucking pathetic. It's such a pathetic. I really do feel like it's just utterly pathetic. Shocked at how many people are giving this band a pass on this. There's literally no way no one in the camp knew about this. To say that they probably didn't know was insulting them. And it's just fucking lame, dude. They did know, and they made a decision. They made a decision of like, hey, they made a decision. They were like, hey, we still want to take the guarantee. And so we're going to. That's the bottom line. DK is a legacy act. Wait, DK, the Dropkick Murphys or the Dead Kennedys? I don't know. Oh, I guess that would be DKM. I think that, again, I wouldn't say that the Dead Kennedys is a legacy act at this point. They would need Jello to be a legacy act, truthfully. That's it, guys. That's all I got. I just wanted to talk about this. I thought that was just so fucking, God, was that lame? What a lame thing to do, in my opinion. Especially with the knowledge that they had, right? And like everything that they espoused, it's just kind of bullshit. All right, that's it. I'm gonna go. I'll see you when I see you. I'll see you real soon. Peace, hair grease, all the rest. Goodbye.